Okay, boys. Today, we're here with the real question. The real question that we all want to know. Are giraffes OP? Hmm. Who would have thought a giraffe? It's like a horse. They're pretty strong. But it's, long boy. But no, yes. Today, we're going to have a look at the Are Giraffes OP video by TierZoo. TierZoo makes great videos. Just a shame that they don't come out as often as they used to, like compared to back in the day. But yeah, are giraffes OP? Let's see, shall we? I'm sure he'll explain it to us. Look at that boy. Look at him go. Easy. Bruh. Ultimate Smash Bros. Character, the giraffe. Can't wait to see him in Smash Bros. Ultimate 2.
The Africa server is full of extremes. You've got the most powerful builds in the game.
It is a tough server, bro.
Terrestrial build in the entire game currently.
The big boys server.
While the African bush elephant may indeed be the largest, it isn't the tallest. That title goes to the subject of today's video, the giraffe. But is being the tallest build...
Bruh, look at them calves. My man be working. Look at
today's video, the giraffe.
Look at them calves, boys. Jeez. To be honest, look at those thighs as well. My man. My man.
But is being the tallest build in the game actually that effective of a strategy? How does it play out in practice? And what abilities did the giraffe spec into in order to compound
the long
its
boy.
Advantages?
That's what he specced into, obviously.
The giraffe's extreme height grants it several benefits. The first of these is how it completely changes the dynamics regarding
you
the
can
game's
see really
stealth
far. I
mechanics.
actually didn't actually think about that.
Most top predators in the African savanna opt for the ambush strategy to get within striking range of their targets. They tend to rely on a combination of innate camouflage and use of natural cover to evade detection, while closing...
I'm sort of crazy that I never actually thought that they would be able to see so much shit far away. I actually didn't even think about that until he mentioned it. And I'm like, oh shit, yeah. That's actually so obvious. How did I not think of that?
most of the distance, breaking from cover only at the last possible second when they believe they can close the remaining distance before the target has a chance to react. This strategy
Man
is
had like a
almost
brow of
completely
straw
useless against the giraffe, because the stealth benefit from natural cover, things like tall grass and bushes, is entirely negated when viewed from a high vantage
what
point.
a cam.
While staying low to the ground may obscure your character from the perspective of something like a gazelle or zebra, to a giraffe you are completely exposed and your approach was seen coming from quite a ways off. The second main benefit granted to the giraffe via its height is a bonus to its...
Bro, that's almost cute how that zebra's really tried it. He real tried it, bro. The thing is, like, look at the foot size difference between a giraffe and a zebra as well. Jesus Christ. Imagine it trying to kick the horse, bro. It'd absolutely get wrecked.
defense. Because the giraffe's hurt box is elevated significantly off the ground, it's
Don't just call a
extremely
zebra a
difficult
horse.
for
Actually,
most
don't know.
players to land a hit on the giraffe's vitals. In fact, for literally every relevant threat in the African meta, landing a strike on the giraffe's weak point requires either a risky jump strike or an ambush from an elevated position, neither of which are very efficient strategies, with the jump strike in particular being easily punishable by any of the giraffe's many powerful counterattack options. Speaking of, let's take a look at what those are. The giraffe's reach not only keeps its own vitals out of attack range, but also makes it very easy for a giraffe main to land their own attacks. Similar to horses and zebras, the giraffe's main method of attacking is its kick, dealing moderate damage to any target that dares enter the giraffe's zone of control. However, when the giraffe really needs to deal some damage, it resorts to its signature move, the ossicone bash.
Oh damn! Boy, what the fuck? It's whipping itself around like a helicopter blade, bro.
Neck in a wide arc.
That's insane.
Connect with the horn-like...
Honestly, I always wondered what their like horn protrusions were like really for. But if they use their neck as a fucking whip, like, pow, what pow, like that actually makes sort of sense, bro. Damn, they look really weird when you're looking at their skull, though, don't they? That almost looks very horror-like looking at it like that. What the fuck, bro? I feel like I didn't want to see this image. It's sort of,
protrusions on the skull called ossicones. Connecting with this attack means pretty much instant game over for any player it hits.
Oh, he KO'd, bro.
Extremely large health pool, such as another giraffe. However, it is a bit more risky to just throw this move out, considering that it puts your normally out of reach weak point in a potentially vulnerable position, and also deals a little recoil damage with each use as well. And if an attacking player does manage to dodge the first swing and get in close, using this move becomes much more difficult, since the close range hitbox is a bit of a sour spot. But still,
I don't think those
of this move
I don't think those two were targeting each other. I think that was some lovey-dovey moment, you know?
move is enough to dissuade most attacks, to the point that most Predator players won't even bother with
Where's
a
the
high-level
Wii
giraffe.
going from, bro?
Low-level giraffe mains are a lot more vulnerable, and this is where the efficacy of the giraffe's reach and height is really put to the test. Upon spawning in, the giraffe is pretty much helpless. It doesn't have the height advantage on its opponents yet, but because of its slender, lanky shape, it has disadvantage on all saving throws.
Bruh. The fucking... The friendly damage! The friendly damage, look!
It has disadvantage on all...
He didn't even kick the light, he just kicked the baby, bro! The friendly fire! No!
saving throws to avoid being grappled or knocked prone.
Poor little guy.
And so it's the job of the higher level giraffe players to complete the long, arduous escort mission of protecting the newborn giraffe as it matures. Now, because the giraffe's attack range is so broad, it is able to...
Wait, is this CGI? I think it is, but it's actually really good. I'm not gonna lie, for a moment that actually got me thinking that this was real.
guard a wide area and pressure a counterattack on any player that would dare target the newborn.
Poor guy.
However, because the giraffe does not possess any AoE attacks, defending against multiple opponents at once can be quite challenging, often necessitating that the newborn tank a few hits as the mother chases away one attacker.
Bro, she just head stomped her baby! Jesus Christ, those babies, I hope they're durable, bro. Like, holy shit.
Now, despite having not leveled up at all, the giraffe starts with a pretty generous amount of HP, but even so, it's not uncommon for the escort mission to fail. And with a respawn time of 15 months, this is certainly one of the most frustrating aspects of Giraffe.
I genuinely can't tell if this is CGI or this is real.
Gameplay.
It's actually got me.
Let's talk about individual
I think it's CGI
matchups.
though.
First, we
Maybe.
have the cheetah.
I don't know.
Anyways, on a serious note, first we have the leopard. Now, the leopard is one of the most interesting matchups because of its ability to climb and attack from a high vantage point.
It could probably get the neck pretty well, right?
Use their ability to climb as part of their ambush strategy, pouncing on their target from above. This could mean it's the only predator in the game with an honest shot at landing a surprise crit against the giraffe.
My man was like, oh shit.
In all honesty, this would be an insanely risky strategy. And since leopards hunt alone, there's really not much reason to try and take down such large prey when they can survive just fine off of the standard diet of antelope and deer. Still, against a lower level giraffe, I could see this strategy working pretty well, if no allies were around to rescue it. But since leopards kill slowly by strangling their target with their bite, this gives the giraffe's party members a lot of time to react and respond accordingly. This is similar to the issue lions have in their matchup against giraffes. Compared to some of the other potential threats, a lion can't actually deal that much damage on its own to a giraffe.
Bro, he's fucking like
even
fucking
against a
four
low-level
of them.
giraffe player, it's unlikely they could take it out in a single attack, leading to the same issue as a leopard, where the giraffe's teammates would be able to rescue it. However, because lions do cooperate, together it is possible for a pride of lions to bring down even a large adult
grabbing
giraffe,
that ass.
but not without serious risk to the attackers. And since lions typically close in on their targets by staying low to the ground and moving slowly, the giraffe's height is perfectly suited to detecting their approach and escaping before they're in any real danger. So lions taking down giraffes does happen, but it's exceptionally rare.
Yeah, look how many of them they need, bro.
Is an interesting matchup. Obviously, giraffes and rhinos have no real reason to attack each other.
But I'd put my money on the rhino, honestly, just because I feel like a rhino is just really big and bulky, right? It's like a tank. Whereas, like, the giraffes are pretty tanky. But the thing is, like, a rhino's not going for a kill, right? Like, a rhino would just, like, charge at your legs and just, like, sweep them like bowling pins, right? Then the giraffe's on the floor and it's, like, full charging at its face then, you know? Maybe.
But due to the rhino's poor eyesight, it tends to perceive most players that come near it to be threats
Fucking hell, Jesus Christ,
giraffe,
dude.
The rhino's horn is not usually able to reach the
Well, the baby one's after him.
So as long as it can avoid getting knocked over, giraffes tend to do just fine in this match.
See, that's exactly what I said. So the rhino knocks it over with his charge ability. It's GG, bro. It's GG. You know, I was a bit of a rhino main back in the day. You know, got a bit of experience with that charge ability. You know.
Despite the incredible range of a rhinoceros's horn, the giraffe's kick can still outrange it. And although rhinos are quite tanky, a good kick to the face is usually enough to dissuade further attacks.
Bro, why are you showing the baby one getting done in?
Now, because they can't really jump, hyenas don't have anywhere near the vertical threat range that lions
I think hyenas is just like an F tier against
giraffe is pretty much out of the question. However, instead of this increased agility, hyenas have a much more powerful bite. Rather than requiring a critical hit.
Like the thing is, they have a really good bite, but what are they going to bite? Like the giraffe's toe? It's going to get smacked in the face. Because they got a high bite, but they're also not as durable either as like a lion, right?
Hyena can crack bone with a single bite anywhere on the target, which can immediately disable their prey and make rescue attempts futile. This is particularly effective against players who rely on their teammates for protection.
So it's bad for the low level giraffes.
Oftentimes, it's simply too late, and the damage has already been done. Eventually, the teammates will move on, and the hyenas will be able to close out the kill. Lastly, I don't think it's any real surprise to see that giraffes still have to respect the space of an elephant. Elephants are tall enough to gore a giraffe with their powerful tusks. So if there's ever a territorial dispute between an elephant and a giraffe, the elephant always wins. Thankfully for a giraffe, its longer legs grant it a faster run speed. So while elephants do pose a serious threat, this hardly ever actually results in direct damage. In fact, by and large, rather than competing with other herbivores for the best resources, the giraffe's unique access to treetops means that it actually makes a lot of sense for other herbivores to tolerate or even appreciate the presence of a giraffe. They aren't taking away any food that they would have accessed anyway, and could also serve as an early warning system if they see predators coming. So,
what together, bro?
The most overpowered
Holy
build,
shit!
they're certainly up there.
This giraffe wants the kid, bro. He's like, I haven't tried some meat in a while.
Near untouchable for the vast majority of their playthrough, and have fairly reliable protection in the early game. I'd put them in solid A tier. In fact, it's somewhat strange that other herbivore players haven't started speccing into similar height advantages to gain the same survival perks as the giraffe. The giraffe is extremely unique in its role in the meta, which is weird because historically, the treetop grazer giant type build has been extremely successful. Giant long-necked rhinoceros
actually, that's right.
In the Oligocene. And before that, we saw this.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, why is giraffes like pretty much the only species with a herbivores that are like high top tree sort of like food eaters, right? Because you go back so much into the history. Like obviously they're on about there like obviously a bit earlier, but even if you go back to like different dinosaur eras, right? Different eras within like the dinosaur periods and older than that had a lot of long-necked spectre sort of classes, you know. Surprised me that don't actually have more than just a giraffe. That is a good point. So I do think there's like a cousin of the giraffe, which is like a deer with a bit of a longer neck. But it's nowhere near obviously a giraffe. And I guess llamas are quite long necked. Yeah, it's obviously nothing giraffe level. That is interesting to think actually though. It is interesting to think.
Strategy absolutely dominates
maybe in the future,
Mesozoic,
give it a few million.
Sauropod dinosaur. So why only the giraffe in today's meta? There are a few theories on this, but that's beyond the scope of this video. In terms of
I need that video, bro.
Style, the closest thing we have
because that is actually a good question,
camel.
Honestly.
But surprisingly, the giraffe is not that closely related to camels. The giraffe only has two close relatives in the current meta. The first is the okapi, a strange build that functions as sort of a middle ground between deer and giraffes. And the second is one that basically nobody would
was what I was
expect,
thinking of as
the pronghorn
earlier,
which is completely
it's not a deer.
different
It's not a deer. It's an okapi. But my brain said deer, bro.
Giraffe in both stature and location. Both the okapi and giraffe are only playable on the Africa server, but to find the pronghorn, you need to travel all the way to the North America server. The pronghorn deserves an entire video to itself, since it's such a fascinating build with an extremely distinct strategy from everything
I don't think this is a deer. This looks very different to a deer, bro.
else on the American server.
His head looks really weird.
That video, it already exists. You can watch it right now, a month before everyone else, by subscribing to Nebula, a streaming service owned and operated by and for creators like me. Nebula has kindly sponsored this video, and by subscribing to Nebula, you can get access to tons of bonus content, early access to the videos, and all of my videos completely ad-free. Nebula's support has been integral in my...
It looks like it is. But yeah, like, I would definitely want to see like the video talking about why do giraffes potentially being the only super long-necked animals that exist in today's period. Because that is a really interesting question to ask, honestly. Because yeah, you would think there's not really much competition there, and also I guess why wouldn't there be more spread out across the rest of the world? Obviously, I know in Africa they've probably evolved because there's more sparsity of food lower down on the ground because they only have quite tall trees over there, and obviously you're fighting for the low trees, and they don't really have much like grasslands, right, to eat from. It's mainly trees and bushes and whatnot, right? Unless you get like closer to water and whatnot. So, but you'd still think maybe like other creatures would adapt in other areas of the world, right? Or just even more than one type in sort of the savannah, sort of in Africa. Yeah, that's an interesting question, honestly. But yeah, I'd say giraffes are pretty strong in the Africa servers for sure.